You're listening to the BBC World Service. I'm Razia Iqbal with Newshour. Now, the French government has condemned the arson attack on the Paris offices of the satirical magazine Charlie Hebdo, which published a cartoon of the Prophet Mohammed on its front cover. The Prime Minister, François Fillon, said that freedom of expression was an inalienable right in French democracy and that such an act of violence could not be justified. The magazine's Arab Spring edition, published today, depicts the Prophet Mohammed on its front cover. In a special issue named Sharia Hebdo, the magazine has also named the Prophet Mohammed as its guest editor. So, what do French people make of the magazine's actions? Let's hear some views from the streets of Paris.
It's a provocation, a reaction. It's not a good reaction, but for me it's a provocation. But I don't think that we should react like this.
It's an extremist reaction. Actually, this journal, I know that this newspaper is all about laughing, about comic. Typically, Charlie Hebdo is made for provocation and make people react. That's exactly what they did. This is their job. They did their job, and that's why we bought this kind of newspaper.
The journalists and the press has the right to freedom of speech, and the people that have burned the office yesterday, I think they are extremists. They have been provoked. They provoked the hard feelings of those extremist Muslim people in France, and maybe they are trying to get some publicity around this. Now everybody is talking about their magazine, and if they did that on purpose, then I think they made a good job. Well, I don't take it seriously, and I do not recognize the Prophet Mohammed as the cartoon itself. So far, as a good Muslim, we don't have a picture of the Prophet Mohammed, so we cannot even feel bad about it. I think people that are feeling bad about it, they are not well educated. They are not representative of the Muslim community in France.
I'm going to buy it if it's possible, because I would like to, support Charlie Hebdo. It's stupid to react this way, and I think Charlie Hebdo is strange but good fellows.
A few views from people on the streets of Paris today. So, was Charlie Hebdo right to publish this magazine? I put the question to French political commentator Anne-Elisabeth Moutet, and firstly, the French Muslim journalist Nabila Ramdani.
Well, first of all, I would like to react to one of the people we've heard on the streets of Paris saying that he was stupid to react by throwing petrol bombs to, on the offices of Charlie Hebdo. I would go further than that. It's actually a criminal act, and nobody would condone criminality of any kind, let alone when it involves arson and putting the lives of people at risk. Having said that, if you put the content of the magazine in the context of Islam in France, this magazine was really designed to cause maximum offense. You are talking about a country where you have 6 million Muslims, the largest population in Europe, and Muslims in France experience discrimination in every walk of life, including housing, education, employment, and indeed religious expression. So it seems that Charlie Hebdo have exceeded themselves in bad taste, and many would view the content of this magazine as pure racism dressed up as satire.
Anne-Elisabeth Moutet, bad taste and exceeding satire. What do you think?
Well, Charlie Hebdo for the past 40 years has made a career having bad taste. It is happy to be in bad taste, and their first issue followed a previous incarnation under a different title in which they commented on the death of General de Gaulle, and they said that it was a tragic incident with only one dead. So, they are following the grand old tradition of bad taste, and it's wonderful. But I also would like to say that if we indeed, there is discrimination in some areas against Muslims in France, but it certainly would be discrimination to say that they are the only French citizens who are not capable of joining in the democratic debate, including satire and certainly with freedom of expression. I think we should not infantilize people.
Nabila Ramdani, she's right, isn't she? I mean, isn't this? Should we not be defending the right of this magazine to say what it wants to say, and that everybody else should be grown up enough to say, well, we can ignore it, we don't have to buy it?
No, I'm afraid it's not about being grown up, it's about respecting the law. Now, clearly this is a case which centers around the issue of free speech, and we've heard the Interior Minister saying that all the French should feel sympathy for Charlie Hebdo, a magazine which, as Annelise said, that, expresses by its very existence the freedom of the press, which is a sacred freedom in France. Now, it has to be pointed out that Claude Guéant, the Interior Minister, is the same person who described Islam as a problem in France. It should also be noted that France outlaws Holocaust denial and indeed anti-Semitic behavior. There was a very highly publicized case over the summer when British fashion designer John Galliano was found guilty because of launching an anti-Semitic rant at people in a bar. Now that rant was heard by a handful of people who were mainly drunk, and nonetheless Galliano was found himself arrested and convicted. So you do have to wonder, and it's a very important point, you have to wonder if the same principles of the law, I'm talking about the law, not about being an adult about it.
So you think that this magazine has broken the law, Nabila?
Very much so. You have to wonder if the same principles of the law should be extended to this magazine for insulting and indeed ridiculing another religion. These are not just well-meaning jokes, they are an absolute rubbishing of Islam and what it stands for, and I'm not convinced at all that this kind of vicious attacks fits in freedom of expression.
And Elisabeth Moutet, what do you think? Nabila Ramdani is claiming that this is actually breaking French law. This isn't about having a laugh and being satirical.
I think Nabila is making a huge mistake between insulting Muslims, which indeed is perfectly disgusting, it should not happen, and insulting or making fun of religion, which is a freedom that has existed in France since Voltaire fought for it in the 18th century. It is not at all the same thing. It doesn't say that Muslims are evil or bad or stupid. It says that the religion itself has ridiculous aspects and it's poking fun at it.
Yep.
And there's a huge difference. I would like to underline the fact that right now in Paris there's a very successful play in which you see the excrement being smeared on a picture of Jesus. Now the Catholics are not very happy about it, but they're not torching any place. And it's just part of what people are allowed to say in a modern place. I mean, people fought for this in the 18th century, and I would not like to go back to the Ancien Régime in my country.
The political commentator Anne-Elisabeth Moutet from Paris and the French Muslim journalist Nabila Ramdani in London.